online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey, Sleepy Hollow heads, Sleepy heads, Sleepy Hollow fans alike. Welcome back to another Sleepy Hollow after show here on AfterBuzz TV. I'm your host, Zach Wilson. Guys, if you haven't done so already, jump onto youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV and you can subscribe to this and so many other podcasts. You can also find us on iTunes and SoundCloud. There you can leave us a comment because it means the world to us when you do. The world. Yeah, Stephen says the world. And guys, you can tweet at us as well during the show, during the week, whenever you feel you have Sleepy Hollow emotions that need to get out. Use the hashtag #ABTVSleepyHollow and we will find it. Guys, and you can also tweet at me during the show and during the week as well at that Zach Wilson, THATZACHWILSON. And also my fantastic panel. We've got to my left, Jacque Borowski.
Hi, at 123Jackie_B.
And hiding in the booth where he has been relegated for disagreeing with me and Jackie.
They're holding me back from beating you up, Zach.
Or is it the other way around? You're in the punishment box,
I'm in my funiculum or whatever it's called. The frenulum
The
booth.
Finistrella.
The Finistrella. I'm in the Finistrella.
Yes.
It's my impenetrable room.
Stephen Lemieux in the booth.
Indeed. You can find me on Twitter right there. It says STEPHAGNLEMIUX. Or in a Jack in the Box commercial.
Yes,
You
that's
better believe
right.
You keep plugging Jack in the Box. You already gave them
and
their
as long as I get
advertising.
residuals, I will plug them.
Fair enough. All right.
So they better keep giving me residuals.
Thank you to everybody in the chat roll. I'm glad you guys are excited to talk about it. I am excited to... I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. I'm excited to vent about this episode.
I liked it. Hey. I liked the episode.
I'm somewhere
All right.
in between you guys because I enjoyed it, but I found problems.
No, I'm on the same page as you. Like there were parts that I really liked. It's just that there was stuff that stepped on those parts so hard that it almost masks them out.
I feel like Sleepy Hollow is giving us a cookie and then telling us we can't eat the cookie. They just set the cookie in front of us, and then they have a big elephant sit on the cookie and destroy it, and we can't eat the cookie.
Am I the only guy who's like, well, we can let 2 people die? I mean, it is the whole world.
I was on the same page as you.
Greater good.
That's the
We're all sadistic bastards.
Okay.
Is what I'm really saying.
Well, let's get into the story that we're dealing with. This is episode 216, What Lies Beneath. And quickly we find out that what lies beneath
It's a thin plot.
It's not Harrison Ford.
I liked the plot, though. I did like it. I just didn't like how it ended.
I mean, again, there were pieces of this that were really good. So we have this like 3-man excavation crew. I guess they're gonna knock down our tunnels.
They're gonna they're building a mall.
That was my first like annoyance. I'm like, they're gonna tear down our tunnels.
How will we get to the archives?
Like my first thought there was like, oh, this would have been a cool turn if like Headless was still there.
Yes.
And like these people just stumble upon Katrina and Headless
Yes.
because they're building a mall.
Am I the only one who's noticed that we haven't had Reyes in this for a while?
She texted them, apparently.
They mentioned her.
Okay.
She got a shout out.
She got a text message shout out.
And if you want to shout out...
If you want to shout out, you can tweet at us or use the chat roll or write a review on iTunes.
So
Hashtag Detective Reyes.
Hashtag Detective Reyes.
Save Reyes.
So they knock down a
not in
wall in the
trouble.
tunnel and come upon this gigantic vault safe in the ground.
Yeah, which has all kinds of like witchy carvings on it and like symbols that probably mean a lot.
As holes do in Sleepy Hollow. As
Like,
they do.
Here's my only problem with them there. Like I'm like, okay, I can let this as a conceit for like a story fly. Like they're construction workers, they're doing their job to
Right.
like find out what's there. at this point, and the journalist that we got in this episode.
Are we starting with the journalist?
No, but I just wanted to take one thing because he established the fact that like people know that anyone that lives in Sleepy Hollow knows the stories or the myths and like all this stuff and strange stuff has happened in this town.
Hey, this story was going to go one of two ways. Either they were going to open the safe or the vault, get pulled in and killed by creatures, or they're going to open the vault and then split the money amongst themselves and live happily ever after.
Yeah, and that's a different show.
I like those chances.
But can't we just get a thumb drive with $1 million on it and get money that way?
Yeah, Bitcoin, man.
Totes.
Happens in this episode.
Hashtag Irvinging.
Just Sharda in the chat roll says, honestly, the first time I saw the hand reach for them, I thought it was the Frankenstein monster. I was like, wow, that's where he went. Aw, Franklinstein.
No, Franklinstein is still missing. The fans still want to know what happened to Franklinstein.
Yeah.
Hashtag, where the crap is Frankenstein?
It's a long hashtag, Jackie.
We want Franklinstein.
We want Frankenstein.
How about hashtag I really want Franklinstein to be written back into the next episode of Sleepy Hollow. Please, writers, make it happen.
Yes.
That's all one hashtag.
Yeah. Make it happen.
But so these Reavers jump out of there.
Right.
And like the Reavers are cool. They're creepy. I mean, what do you guys think of the Reavers?
They looked like the clown from American Horror Story to me when I first saw them. I was like, too many of the scary clown.
I was just thinking Emergence Day from Gears of War. Yeah, nobody's a gamer? Well, fine. Okay.
There was like crickets.
So yeah, so the Reavers are down there, and like they have to go investigate these missing people, and that's when we get to meet our journalist.
Yes, our journalist Calvert Riggs, aka the most annoying journalist that ever journalisted.
He seems to have ethics a lot of the time, but not all the time.
Well,
I mean, how do you guys feel about him?
I liked him. I liked him as a character. I thought it was good to bring an aspect of real world to the show of, hey, this stuff could go public in some way and actually alert people to the presence, because I feel like nothing in the community of Sleepy Hollow has changed, even though we've been killing people off left and right and things like that. But, I mean, I don't know. He's kind of annoying, but that's the character.
I mean, there's an aspect to him that I understand, which is wanting to, as a journalist, tell the people what's really going on. Which he mentions he's a prize-winning journalist, and he's done this sort of thing in was it Iraq or
Iraq, Syria, all that.
And so I understand that aspect of his job and why he's also working so hard because his brother is involved as well. So the drive makes sense, but what bothered me was the obvious plot ploy to make him like a love interest for Abby.
I didn't see that at all.
The second he comes onto the screen and is like shooting photos of her, and then at the end with like the flirty photo text, a fan was like, "Oh, this is just another Holly." It's like you can bring characters in and have them be rich and like vibrant and interesting characters, but you don't have to make them an obvious plot point.
Well,
I felt the same way. Like he definitely felt like they were building him to be a love interest.
I think you guys are just trying to find love interest stuff in everything. I didn't really see that. I was watching the same episode as you guys, but I saw it was like a little flirtatious, but that's more of just his career trying to get a opportunity with them. I don't see that as...
So if some girl sent you a picture of herself and said, "Oh, check this out," of yourself, I'm sorry.
Wait, he didn't send a picture of himself?
He sent a picture of her.
Abby, I meant. If some girl sent you a picture of you that she took while on this whole excursion, you wouldn't find that flirty?
I mean, have I slept with her yet or no?
You're trying to.
Well, then it's flirty, but I don't think he's trying to, and I don't think she's trying to sleep with him. I think the writers have been sneaking in these basically sentences directly to the viewers, with the first scene we see with Ichabod and Abby where they're on the battleship, and they're like, "Well, we said there was going to be 7 years of tribulations." "Ah, yes, Abigail, but we didn't know what tribulations they were. They didn't say they'd be horsemen, and blah, blah, blah. You just have to have faith." So we're trying to have faith in the writers right now. And then this dude, what's his name, Riggs?
Yes, Calvert.
I thought it was
Riggs.
Reeves, but okay, Calvert.
Oh, I wrote Riggs. If it's incorrect, please let me know. But Calvin.
Yeah, Calvin.
Let's call him Calvin.
Riggs.
So basically, Calvin is the writer's response to, oh, Holly was white, people don't like white, let's go ahead and get diversity like everyone's asking for and bring in a...
That wasn't why we didn't like Holly.
But this is what kind of it feels like.
The writers are clueless.
I mean, I don't think race played any issue in that whole thing. It was just like this guy came onto the scene, and his accusatory but not accusatory. It was like a nice accusatory that sounded like flirty.
Yes, to me he sounded very flirty, but he also, I mean, I would have actually liked it better if the character was less interested in flirting with Abby while his brother was in danger and more interested than just helping his brother who was in danger.
Yeah, he didn't, because you know what it was, is because his brother was in danger, but he never felt panicked.
Yes.
He felt like a little upset and maybe even angry, but not panicked, like
and
not
it felt
worried.
more like he wanted to take these photos for...
He wanted the story more than his brother.
Yeah, he wanted the story more than to help his brother. So, I don't know. Fans, you can let us know if you thought his intentions were more pure towards his brother, if you thought his intentions were pure towards Abby.
Nicole Wesley in the chat says he was really concerned about his brother, and that's how she saw it with him. So, I mean, different people have seen it different ways.
Yeah.
I mean,
I worry that we have gotten too, what is the word?
Pessimistic
Pessimistic about the show. Because I tried to watch it tonight, and I was trying to think, like, let me just try it as a new show as if I hadn't seen the second season at all. And I did enjoy it. So I feel like we're holding a lot of things against the show currently that we shouldn't really be holding against the show. I mean, I'm going to give them that third chance. For the second
you know what?
Our job, though, is to break down the show and ask questions. It's not that we don't like the show, and
we
it's
gotta
not...
be fans of the show.
But to Steven's point, that's fair. It's fair. Like, look, sometimes you get a bad string of episodes, like something goes awry, and then you have to right the ship. It's tough. Like, writing a TV show is not easy. It's not a science. There's a lot of moving pieces, and it's making a good show is near impossible. But at the same time, we're not coming right into this episode. We've seen what this show can be, and we're unfortunately watching it from that standard. And we want Sleepy Hollow to live up to the high standards that it set for itself first season.
Even for me, though, I'm critical of shows I enjoy. I mean, there are shows that I've enjoyed overall. There will still be certain characters or certain moments or certain beats that I have questions about. And I think that's, we're in the age of smart viewers, and that's what we do as smart viewers.
And that's I consider myself one of the most forgiving types of television viewers. I let a lot slide if I enjoy the show, because I'm enjoying it. As long as I enjoy the ride, I'll let a little plot hole slip. Whatever, it happens.
Example. This was classic Sleepy Hollow, where you have not to jump ahead so much, but it's where you have the hologram.
Well, that's where I want to go now. While I'm talking about stuff that is really cool, and I'd let certain things slide, but with that point in mind, I want to talk about Thomas Jefferson, hologram Jefferson, and his Finestrella. And
to me, this is classic Sleepy Hollow, where I just enjoyed hologram Jefferson, the concept that he was there. I enjoyed that so much that I was like, I don't care that this technology is totally implausible. It's just so awesome and fun, and that is classic season 1 Sleepy Hollow, where you're just I'm on for the ride.
I was just so caught off guard by seeing Steven Weber, because me and Zach are doing Helix, and he's a main character on that.
Brother Michael?
Yeah, Brother Michael. He really is immortal or something.
I mean,
like
but this is one of those being outside of television, or more inside television. There was a moment of so he can't be too much of a recurring. Because he's a recurring on Helix, and I know that these filmed similar times. Mm-hmm. But either way.
So they go back, they find this place when they're running from the Reavers, and the door opens and closes, and you're like, what the hell? And then there's freaking silhouetted Jefferson, the hologram Jefferson, ready to make his appearance on the Emmys.
But before we even got that, we got a nice little moment, just that set this up, of Jefferson and Ichabod sitting there writing the Declaration
of Independence.
Ichabod was like an editor on the Declaration of Independence.
I like that bar. That bar is the same bar they use in modern times, right? It's just that one bar.
It looks very like it.
To me, I feel that bar is the same bar they always use. It's like...
It's probably a stage bar.
Yeah.
And they just remake it.
Or it's the oldest bar in Sleepy Hollow, and they've always used it.
I'm gonna have to, next time I go home to Westchester, New York, I'm gonna go look for that bar.
Look for ye old bar where the Declaration of Independence was written.
So what's this place called? The Frenestellinus?
Stop trying to make it sound like
No, I don't know what it is. Like what?
It's Finestrella.
Finestrella. Okay, so the delicious Finestrella room that they find, because it sounds like a pasta. Basically, the writer's like, hey, this is the key to every single thing that could solve all the problems. And if this was the end of the series, we would probably keep this room, but we have to find an excuse to blow it up because that would be too easy.
That's basically what happened here. They came up, and this is where I'm gonna
this is
let
where
some
my anger came.
I'm gonna let some emotions out here, because like a lot of stuff in this episode, you know what? I like the Reavers, like sort of like had some like good stuff and decent and bad stuff. The journalist, like he was a decent character. It wasn't bad by any means. Wasn't great either. This was the thing that just like sank this episode for me, because they set up this awesome chamber with like such amazing knowledge and like stuff that's going to help them stop the apocalypse. This crazy invention of hologram Jefferson, which is so ridiculous but fun, because you could have a founding father be a member of your cast for a while. It doesn't have to be a one-off. You could have him there as like this little buddy that they like go visit when they're like live in this place.
They set it up where they were like, the witnesses are supposed to have mentors, and you have the Abby flashback with Corbin, and you have the flashback with Jefferson, and you're like, you're thinking that this is going to be an ongoing thing.
They're talking about how mentors are like destined to help the witnesses, and like they'll be there to,
they kept the
guide
box,
you.
Though, right? Did they get to keep that golden box full of scrolls?
They didn't keep anything. That was the problem.
That was the thing, is that they literally have said out, like basically said, this room will solve all your problems, and then with an excuse that didn't make sense. Like if they had to if it was like, Abby's gonna die if you don't blow this up. Okay.
Yes.
Great drama there.
Yes.
The dilemma of one witness with the ability to save the world or save his friend who might help him save the world. That's a dilemma.
Yes.
That's a problem. But this was...
Let's not just lock the vault up for a bit, then go back in there with more firepower and then clear the room out. Let's not do that. Let's blow it up, because within the next few years they're going to put them all here, and maybe somebody's going to come over it again, because you can't just put a sign "Do not open" over it.
That was what happened. Like the slightest tweak would have made it just infinitely better. All it had to be was, now that door is open, the Reavers can just stream out of there, and they're in the streets killing people. Now you have a reason that it has to go. But to be like, well, somebody will stumble upon this door eventually.
Well, what they didn't do that I thought they would do was, I thought that the soul power battery thing would be what turned everyone into the Reavers. They didn't go into that. And I thought that it was
we didn't explain why there was more than one.
And I thought that's what would cause people to be Reavers. So if they closed it, if they opened it up, it would let that escape and start turning humans into Reavers.
Okay.
Like, that would have been awesome. Okay, we have to destroy this thing, because if we don't, Sleepy Hollow is going to be turned into Reavers because they didn't know the side effects of this power. Oh my God, writing. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, again, that was like, if that was what they were intending, I didn't get that. And like, that's the thing, is like, they could have had these same plot points. And like at this point, like, I don't want to like point fingers. I don't want to say like, oh, the writers are doing a bad job. The actors are doing great. Like, they're doing the best with what they're given. I have to think, like, is this a network note? Is it a studio note? Is like somebody there's some point in the process where there's a breakdown between these awesome things, because this is the problem, is that this has become a Sleepy Hollow trope at this point. Is let's set up this amazingly cool thing. Let's set up Frankenstein. Let's set up Corbin's son. Let's the Wendigo. Let's set up Thomas Jefferson the hologram living underground in Sleepy Hollow with a wealth of knowledge on the apocalypse. But then it just goes away the next episode.
It feels like they're rolling craps and taking their bet out every time.
Yes.
They're not consistently keeping their pot in and letting it build. They're literally just putting a cool concept out there, ending it. Okay, cool. Let's come up with another cool concept. Okay, cool. I liked our comment in the chat by Haley Miller. Says this part of Sleepy Hollow reminded me so much of Superman. Jarrell Jefferson and the Fortress of Solitude equals the Finistella. That was a good comment.
To build on what you guys were saying, even if they decided to blow up the room, if we had, because we've set up that this box has a lot of information in it, or like these books have a lot of information in it, maybe if they had said, okay, while we're escaping, if we can grab what we can and then try and piece things together from what we have to, because it was, I mean, they set it up in such a way that it's, our witnesses are always going to try and save the few that they can save at the time. So Abby and Ichabod are not going to let people die, even if it's 2 people. So okay, so you want to save these people and save the world. You have to think about both. And it would have been cool because we built back in the Abby Ichabod like crime partner figuring things out partnership again. They could have used that moment to rebuild their partnership, saying, okay, we have to work together to solve this mystery of like what the witnesses are supposed to do from the few papers that we have left.
Yeah.
I like a comment in the chat. Just sort of said maybe the Reavers are all the plot holes that went away to die down there.
And they've come back for revenge.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, well, the other points that I've seen people brought up, a couple people in the chat roll, I know that Amy Gonzalez tweeted it at us earlier today, is like, so we've got this magic hologram box that Jefferson has like poured his soul into. He's basically downloaded himself.
Yes.
This is like AI, this is like a next level AI made with witchcraft.
Right.
Why couldn't
the Sacred Heart witches, which were supposed to be Katrina's witches?
Yeah. So why couldn't we like take that consciousness with us, like the cloud,
and try and rebuild it?
Yeah, like so many possibilities that could have come from that. Do you guys have any more thoughts on Jefferson or the Finistrella?
No, other than that, we clearly want it back.
Yeah.
We want it back, just like the Wendigo, just like the Kindred.
Well, with that all in mind, I want to take a brief moment and do some iTunes shout-outs. We already talked to you guys about how important it is that you rate, comment. It's how we get sponsors here at the network. It's how we get guests here at the network. Guys, it really does. It's how we have, who do we have coming in, guys? Because we have a very special guest coming in just a couple. Is that next week?
Yes, we have Miss Jenny Mills.
Next week, Miss Jenny Mills is coming in to talk to us right here at AfterBuzz TV.
Sorry, guys, I was just indisposed for a second.
Lindy Greenwood.
Oh,
you were exposed.
I was exposed.
Lindy Greenwood is coming in to join us. I had to.
People saw my Ferris.
Well, my notes are not properly organized, so I had to double check that I had the right name.
Yes.
She will be joining us next week.
Yes.
Here on the podcast.
So tune in.
And the reason we can get awesome guests like that and our fantastic sponsors
is because of Zach's beard.
It is very effective, but you know what's more effective is your iTunes comments. And I want to give
I can see it in your iTunes. Do you hate me? Do you hate me yet, Zach?
Not just starting. It's been a while. So I want to give some shout-outs. Court0624 says, this week's episode was freaky. All that blood, ew. When I last heard last week's show, and my comment was, I was so excited. Now you're getting another shout-out.
Yeah.
So many shout-outs, because date updates. Techno Griffin, do you like money? Hosts that are both quick-witted and silly. Devoted fangirls and boys to talk about during the show. If you said yes to one or more of these, this after show is for you. Great job, all of you. Keep it up. I couldn't have written a better review myself.
Yes.
Fiction Boy asks, where's Matt?
Oh.
You want to know where Matt is.
Yeah.
He says, 1, where's Matt? 2, Jackie is awesome.
Thank you.
3 and 4 are, I guess, you and me, Steven, because we got left out.
I guess so. Okay,
I love
guys.
you
So
guys,
Matt's not on the show anymore.
Yeah, Matt unfortunately couldn't make the schedule work, so
Matt
we miss
went
him.
wherever Wendigos go.
Matt was actually down in the Feristellum, and
Matt was in the Finistrella, and it got blown up.
It got blown up.
Unfortunately. So
Matt was the only thing that could save this after show. And
You
they
may
blew
not
him
have
up.
known this, but Matt Lieberman was a hologram. He was actually just a soul version of a young Samuel Adams.
Yes.
Played by Tupac.
QE627 says, I love this podcast. I had to write it for you when Steven said some people were shading Jackie. Jackie, you're the main reason I watched this weekly, girl. I love you too, Zach and Steven. Matt too, but I'm giving him the side eye. Sleepy Hollow Season 2 has been the Katrina show, and I didn't sign up for that. Without this podcast, I would have given up. Love you guys. You bring different perspectives that are fun and unfortunately sometimes more interesting than this show. Keep up the good work. Ray Adams says, I only just started getting into AfterBuzz, starting with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Card, and I jumped here after hearing Matt does this podcast too. Whoops. I love TV and movies, but my favorite part is being able to go deep analytical discussions with other fans afterwards. As a queer woman of color fan, I also really appreciate that you guys being intersectional when it comes to talking about race, gender, and orientation diversity issues on the show. And then there's some more of the review that I apologize. We're going to keep moving.
I'm gonna take this one, Zach. Love, love, love by TDM VJJ. Love the show. Love the podcast. Love the panelists. Also, there's a reason why Steven's last name is Lemieux. Because he is.
Oh, I get it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Steven's okay.
Zach Wilson.
I guess we'll keep him.
So can we go back to the Ferris
to the show?
I don't.
Finish
Did you have, I asked if you had more thoughts, Steven.
I was in the middle of explaining something to somebody in the booth.
Okay.
Because we're doing 25 shows tonight, guys, and I, as a producer, sometimes have to be doing other things.
No worries.
Unfortunately,
Well,
I have to. So this scene.
What do you have to say about the show?
I just wanted to say that this really felt like a scene out of Fallout 3. Just imagine it, you enter a random building, you find this random door that you enter, go in there, there's a hologram of Thomas Jefferson, which is completely absurd, and then it gives you the choice that you have to be either a bad guy or a good guy, save the people and let the research go to hell that would help you guys out, or let the people die and keep the research.
But Ichabod points out, I wonder if this was a test of sorts, because Ichabod points out that Jefferson would have said to save lives over literature.
That's a fair point. I mean, at that point, you could start to talk about what is the soul? If if it's not truly a perfect copy, if it's computerized, if you will, computers are very logical.
Yes,
so they don't necessarily think about human life in the same. It's an equation at that point.
Yeah.
And again, if that had been spelled out more, I'm on board. But they didn't, so I can't give them credit for it.
Right.
So soul battery. We find out that witches can make a soul battery that's basically unlimited energy for 200 years.
It's pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome
They can bring Ichabod
device.
back from the dead. They can make soul batteries. What else can they do?
I mean, finally, we're seeing a little bit more of what witches can do. We're also seeing a little bit more of what happens with all the supernatural stuff in the world with Irving.
Oh,
Because
Irving.
Irving's back.
Oh, Irving.
So Irving is back, and he recruits Jenny to help him break into the police evidence locker.
I would like to read my notes.
Please do.
I wrote, Jenny is back. He asked Jenny to get his wedding ring. Rude. No.
Shade, 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 shade.
It's obvious, she has some sort of extra feelings for him, and he's like, I need you to break in and get my wedding ring. Excuse me, you can just buy a new one. So she knew, at least I will give them credit that Jenny knew something was up, and she was just going along with it to figure out what was happening with Irving.
Oh yeah, Jenny's smarter than
Yes.
that. She knows that look, he may have burned a lot of bridges when he murdered people, but he got acquitted of it. I think he could still
glove
call
don't
in a
fit.
favor to get his wedding ring back
Right.
out of the evidence locker.
That's why it was all sketchy, because it's like, really, come on, Irving, really.
I had a dream. This is how invested I am in the Irving storyline. I had a dream that in the last episode they killed Irving off, and I was so mad because I was like, they just died good Irving abruptly, and now we know that there's like a good fight between good and evil happening inside of Irving because of that weird coin that he stuck to himself.
So that was like, hey, let's write something in so this makes sense with what's going on with Irving.
But
he just happens to peel back the back page of a book that he can't understand the language in and find a rune that he knows exactly what it does when he didn't believe in magic 3 months ago.
I mean,
Coin.
I would grant him that he could understand the language in that book because of whatever else is going on in him. Because like if he does have another person running around in there, like it's a trade thing. Like that person may have given him some language knowledge that he didn't have before. So okay, I'll grant them that. But I don't. Commit to bad Irving. I don't need him to be like fighting this guy. Just make this the bad Irving. Good Irving is gone. Like,
and I was just so upset because it's like they did. It's interesting because Orlando Jones tweeted that this was probably the most the speech that he gives Jenny about what's happening is probably the biggest speech he's had at all ever on the show. And it's interesting because it's like they gave him almost nothing to say for the most part of the episode. So you don't give good Irving a good service before he dies and becomes bad Irving. And then if they're just going to kill him off at the end like happened in my dream, what happened to good Irving?
I mean, like,
we have good Irving in spirit.
Makes me so
But that's the thing, like, it makes, like, for all that we may have, like, been upset when Irving died, and then, like, because we thought they were writing Orlando Jones off the show or something like that.
And maybe they still are for this season.
And, like, but, like, if you're, so great, you found a way to kill the character and keep Orlando Jones around, use it. That's a really strong choice.
Yes.
Because, yeah, you want to keep working with an actor who's a quality actor. But if it was the right time for that character to die, it was the right time for that character to die. And I love the idea of an evil Irving just running around. Mm-hmm. But you could have we already expected him being evil.
Right.
Why couldn't he just be fully evil, 100%?
So basically, he tells Jenny this whole thing about the flash drive has money on it from the Hellfire clan and all that kind of stuff, and he wants her to help and protect his family. I think it's more something that he wanted Jenny to get in the first place, and it has nothing to do with that. It's actually going to screw them over later. I don't think good Irving exists anymore in the way that he says it is. I think this is bad Irving all through and through.
Interesting.
I think there's a real moral struggle going on in there, and I do like the idea though that you had that the flash drive is not just money to help his family, but something else that he maybe can't tell her.
Amy Gonzalez says hashtag friend Jenneke Merlving.
Yes. And that moment where she can't kill him, he's basically telling her to her face, like, I'm evil. And she can't kill him because he's Irving to her. He's Irving. Even though she knows he's bad and she knows he's doing bad things right now, she takes the flash drive anyway and doesn't kill him.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, I'm curious what where Irving could what. I lost it.
Yeah, it was there.
Well, I feel they're just gonna make him a horseman. I feel like that's what's happening.
And I would love that.
Yeah.
Just do it though. Don't need to take your time.
They did the same thing with the Katrina line. It's like this wavering between good and evil. It's like, commit to your storyline. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want to say something real quick, guys. I'm looking at you guys who are watching this show right now on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button.
I just did it
right now. Do it right now.
But yeah, so like Irving going forward, I like the idea that this could just be bad Irving. Oh, now I remember what I was thinking. I'm thinking of it as it could be like, and this is going to be a really random pull, like the Yeerks from Animorphs. where it's like this little like slug being that like burrows into your brain and just
A parasite.
a parasite. In this book it's an alien, and it just takes over the body entirely. And the reason I bring this up as a comparison is that the way that it's described is it's like you are sitting like in a chair, just like locked within your brain, and there's just like another person there, so it's like you've lost all sense of your body and your being, but you're still completely aware of everything that is happening around you. And so I could see Irving going in that direction, where good Irving is like in there, but his soul has been so completely taken over by Henry that he's now just like sitting in a chair, balled up, like waiting for hopefully somebody to free him.
Yeah. I would like that much better. I am dreading that if they just kill off Irving to kill off bad Irving, and then we're like, what happens to good Irving?
Good Irving's dead. He got diabetes from 7-Up.
Don't like it.
Boo69B says, do you think Jenny will tell Abby and Ichabod about Irving?
I think she will, because I actually thought from the previous episode that Abby was feeling very skeptical about Irving, because that whole scene where Irving's following her and he's like, oh, you're getting rusty, and she basically is like, oh no, you've been following me for this long. It's like, I took that as a sign that she's keeping tabs on him, even though she said, okay, I'm welcoming you back in the fold and I'm trusting you. We know Abby is a smart cop. We know this.
Yep.
And so we know that she's going to be skeptical, and she expressed her skepticism. I don't think she's going to let it go, and I think that because we've shown such a team up of Abby and Jenny and a build of their relationship this season, I really think that Jenny would go and tell Abby.
Yeah, I hope so, because that's one of the things, like, characters should communicate. These characters are close. They are in a huge battle, a war. They acknowledge that they are in a war. There should absolutely be open communication.
Right.
There's no good reason to hide it from anybody, so don't make them do it.
Like, she goes and finds her maybe in the next episode and is like, hey, we've got to look out for Irving because I let him go.
So to get us off predictions and speed us along the episode, so they go back in. Jefferson says if you fight them in the nest, which apparently they have nests, great.
P.S. They use the what's his face's camera? Calvin. They use Calvin's camera, which he's like, that's a $7,000 camera, and he's just like, okay, bye.
Yeah, as somebody who owns expensive camera equipment, and Stephen, I'm sure that you can feel me on this, that hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt, like, physically, to watch that camera fall down and break.
As someone who knows that the weakness is light and spraying them with light is good, I say hold on to the camera and use it the entire time you're down there. Don't just drop it once. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, really, like, oh, we have this weapon, let's drop it. Let's drop it. But he does have a badass crossbow that's like a shotgun pullback lever.
Yeah, it was like
crossbow.
Yeah, like he just like.
Yeah,
I keep cool. This camera,
that was a cool,
I'd rather use a crossbow.
It was a cool weapon. I gotta hand it to Ichabod. That's like I haven't seen a shotgun loaded.
Yes, the weapons. I mean, the weapons on this show. I do miss when they played more with the weapons, because they had some cool weapons.
Yeah. But so. The last moments of the show, and it's like sort of the big thing, last big thing we want to talk about here, is Henry appearing in Katrina's bedroom.
Oh, creepy Henry.
To my window.
Hello, mother. How are you? How was your nap, mother?
I'll poke you with a horn soon.
He's very, what's his, Bates from Psycho, Norman Bates?
Norman Bates.
Well, that's, you know what, that's a great comparison, though, because that's what he sort of feels like in this scene.
Oh, yes, very much so.
I mean, what do you guys think? Do you buy him, like, coming around? This makes sense. This sells. It's like Henry... Like, he was betrayed by Moloch. He sees the one person who seems to have been on his side. Like, when you actually go back and think about it, like, it's not like Katrina could have stopped any of this. Yes, it's a sad feels. It's a feels for Henry here, except for the fact that he's like clearly like trick, and then he like gives his mother a rose. Oh, that's sweet. Valentine's Day is coming up.
I do think like in the veins of Psycho, I do think like he has a creepy love obsession affection for her, because she's the person who consistently throughout the season he's been drawn to anyway. And it just so happens that this time he's thinking, oh, maybe we can team up instead of like me hurting her or whatever. He's like, I can protect her. Let's be bad together. And I'm sure he knows that she's used dark magic against Emo Raiden. Yes. So I'm sure he knows that information. But Zach, is it really like Valentine's Day? Do you really like shove the thorn of a rose into your girlfriend's hand and make her bleed all over the place? It's part of the contract.
Look,
contract.
You're supposed to have red everywhere on Valentine's Day, Stephen.
Okay. I'll let it slide.
So what do you guys think is happening there? Like, obviously there's a reason. Like, when he punctures her with the rose, she passes back out.
I felt like, yeah, it was part of, like, the blood pact he had with Irving, where it's like he had to get his blood in the ink. And so it's like this was his way of getting her, like, blood contract.
So now he has multiple souls at his control.
Yes.
It's like toys. Like, he's going to, like, make them just play dress up and house.
I would like to see them link it up to the miniatures that he builds, because they've made several references to it at this point.
Voodoo miniatures.
Voodoo miniatures.
Have we covered this episode, guys?
Yes,
yeah,
but
I think it's...
I do want to talk about that on the boat scene or not the boat, maybe it was underground, when Ichabod says Jefferson unfriended me.
I love that. That was good.
And he was talking about Instagram earlier too.
In the modern vernacular, Jefferson unfriended me.
And I do like
awesome.
when you know she's like, oh, he's like, I'm fully part of this world, and then he sees the kids taking the Instagram pictures and then like freaks out.
Yeah,
I do like that.
It was great.
I like that he's never, as much as he tries to adjust, he's never fully adjusted.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, he's like, I think I'm adjusted to this time and this place. And then he sees the two girls, hey! No, you'll never fit in, Ichabod. And don't fit in. Don't ruin yourself like that.
Do you, Ichabod.
Stay young. Or not, whatever you are. I can't tell anymore. But let's, that about does it for 216. Why don't we move into a round of predictions?
We find ourselves in the cavernous catacombs beneath Sleepy Hollow.
Most scandalous.
Most scandalous indeed.
At last sight, Ichabod Crane was seen entering a tunnel with one's Abigail Mills.
And she was not his wife.
There were 3 men who had gone in before them, and only 2 people came out.
This is Sleepington Abbey.
You guys sounded like the Beatles.
Hey, that's British.
It is. It's Liverpool.
Tonight on Sleepington Abbey, what is going on in Sleepington?
What is going on in Sleepington?
Are you gonna do it, Jackie?
Ichabod and Abby spent so much time together, and they were not betrothed.
Most scandalous.
Scandalous indeed.
I heard that a Mr. Jefferson unfriended his so-called friend Ichabod Crane.
Very rude.
Scandalous.
Most scandalous indeed.
I saw a young Ichabod Crane take a camera from a young man and throw it on the ground.
In front of some crazy clowns.
Most scandalous. Be sure to tune in again in the future for more Sleepington Abbey.
Scandalous.
This is why we usually don't put Stephen Lemieux in the booth, because you give him control and that happens. Although it kind of made me happy.
Yeah, me too. I had a happy. Well,
people in chat are excited. Except for Born Guy. Born Guy is not excited. Everyone else, we like you guys. Sleepington Abbey. All right, guys, so what are we thinking moving forward?
well, I mean,
Everyone in the chat hated Born Guy.
Most scandalous. No, we don't hate you, Born Guy. Born Guy, you're awesome.
You're
Like,
entitled to your opinion,
yeah.
Born Guy.
Well, Sleepington Abbey is a bizarre thing. But we're not talking about Sleepington Abbey. Oh, sorry, Jackie. What were you saying?
I was going to say it's like British humor, except for some people have gotten mad that it's like offensive to Brits or whatever.
If Neil Jackson likes it, everyone else should like it.
He's British.
Headless likes it.
British enough.
You know what? Headless also probably likes some predictions.
He loves predictions.
Stephen Lemieux in the booth.
Yeah.
I can't see you, but what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that next episode we're going to see Katrina going to Ichabod with her problems, and then things happening.
I feel, well, from the previews, we know that she's going to go full evil.
Oh, I didn't see the previews, by the way.
Yeah. Sorry. Spoiler.
Damn, well, I'm excited for Katrina to go full evil.
Great! This is like, okay, you know what? That's like the big thing. Not the one thing, but the big thing that I'm like, all right, let's get this shit back on track. Evil Katrina, I'm on board. I want to see Ichabod versus Katrina. Ichabod with his crossbow, Katrina with her thrown potatoes.
With her
magic
with her dirty flower.
That got real weird all of a sudden.
There was a dirty flower in both episodes.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Henry.
It's not a euphemism.
I think we're going to see Henry, Katrina, and Irving become this new team. Oh, if Headless comes back, that's 4.
Yeah.
That could be the new 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. That would be, you know what? Of all the ways to end this season, we get like all of the faults that we've talked about through season 2, if they end season 2 with a shot of Katrina, Irving, Henry, and Headless on horseback as the 4 horsemen, boom.
Yes.
I'm so in.
Yes.
They'd be on their way.
I would
to
also.
Purgatory Prom. I predict that Ichabod will take a young Calvin to Purgatory Prom. I ship Ichalvin. Ichalvin.
I predict that Orion will ask Abby to Purgatory Prom, but she will turn him down.
I think that Holly will show up on his motorcycle and pick up Abby and lift her off her feet, and then they'll get drunk into the night and then die.
No, and then she'll drop kick him in the face.
Ichabod will go stag, but he'll leave with a surprise special guest.
And then Holly breaks up with Abby because she tells the police that he was drinking underage because she's a witness.
That's terrible. But I do, in seriousness though, I'm holding out like a secret hope that Abby maybe pocketed some of that stuff as they exited.
I hope so. I hope somebody took something. Come on.
I'm hoping that Abby will be like, oh, secretly I put some of these things in my pockets.
Like, they could have just freaking worn Jinkos and taken it all out, but, like, the pants.
They could have gone back to the 90s, put on their Jinkos.
Well, I just mean, like, why did they have to blow it up then? Why couldn't they just take a few trips, grab some stuff, and then blow it up? They're not going to build a mall in the next 20 minutes.
Exactly. Like, even just a day. You could have kept the Reavers contained for a day to get those books out.
Gigantic portcullis that just came down and held them at bay. Why wasn't that up to begin with? Why would they let there be access to like Reavers and things like that? I mean, I guess.
All right, we've already vented at length, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for this Sleepy Hollow after show here at AfterBuzz TV. Stephen Lemieux in the booth. Where can the people keep up with you between now and next week's penultimate episode?
You can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux, StephenLemieux, and definitely check me out on the Helix After Show and Better Call Saul. If you're not watching Better Call Saul, you should watch Better Call Saul, and don't worry about not having seen Breaking Bad if you haven't, but you should.
Yeah, oh my God.
Check it out. This show is really, really good.
It's unreal.
It lives up to the hype. And you know what else you can do for me? You know what else you can do for me? You know, baby, just take a little thumb and just hit a thumbs up on this video.
Stop making it creepy.
Yeah, don't make it creepy.
Just, we appreciate the thumbs up. The thumbs up and the iTunes comments all help, but it's not a creepy thing.
It's not a creepy thing.
I was telling people to get thumbs up a long time before I was getting paid to tell people to get thumbs up. And yes,
Steven!
I muted you so I could
Steven muted us. All right, Jackie, where can the people find you?
At 123Jackie_B on Twitter, at 123JackieB, all one word on Instagram, and I've filled in for the Hindsight panel every now and again, and I'm doing it this week. And there's an interview with the creator of Hindsight.
Great, and you guys can follow me on Twitter at ThatZachWilson, ThatZachWilson. And also here at AfterBuzz, a ton of shows. Agent Carter coming up later tonight. Better Call Saul with Steven and Matt Lieberman. A whole bunch of others. Guys, don't forget, 1 week from today, we're going to have Lindy Greenwood in studio. Jenny Mills talking to us about Sleepy Hollow. Guys, I'm Zach Wilson, and thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Good night, sleepyheads.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.